Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Welcome to another new moon, new month, which Yahweh has allowed for us to have. A new moon is the beginning of Yahweh's months. We don't have to guess what Yahweh has going on. We can look outside. We can all walk outside and we'll see that you can't see the moon. The moon is there, but you won't see it. Just that simple. Yahweh leaves no guessing game. When the earth began, it began in darkness and void. No guessing game. He keeps it simple. Now, if you want to do one of them people who following after the moon with this whole 0 day thing, then you're going to have to do an equation to figure out where the 0 day is and what the first day is and all this foolishness. Yahweh made it simple for us. Simple as simple can be. What he say? He's not the author of confusion, but we allow man to keep us confused. Tonight's class is entitled The Fork in the Road. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Acts chapter 15, and we're going to begin at verse 36. See if we can't get an understanding of when we all approach the fork in the road. Acts chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 36.
And some days after, Saul said unto Barnabas, Let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Adonai, and see how they do. And Barnabas determined to take with them Johanan, whose surname was Mark. But Saul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them from Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work.
So understand what is causing this division, this fork in the road. Saul said unto Barnabas, let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached. This is Saul and Barnabas. And eventually we're going to get into that friendship, that bond between Saul and Barnabas. But somebody wants to bring Mark along. Determined to take Johanan with him, whose surname was Mark. But Saul thought not good to take him. Why? Man, he's not been laboring with us. When we went to this last gig and was doing work, this man left us hanging. They don't say what he was doing, but whatever it was bothered him enough to say, hey, I don't want him along with us. We're at that phase right now where people think it's strange. Works are going on. Hey, man, this is how bonds and friendships are made. We get to know each other by working with each other. There are certain brothers that'll tell me stuff about myself that they've sat and watched, and it'll make me laugh. They say, hey, man, we can watch and see conversations going with people, and we can tell when you're done. There's certain actions that you will do, and we know you've checked out of that conversation. I might laugh about it, but it's real. But what has happened? We've worked so much together, we've been around each other so much that we're now starting to understand each other's ways. Now, when did Saul start feeling this way? He didn't just come up right then and say, nah, I don't think he should come. There's something, he met this fork in the road a while back. But now he's ready to move in a different direction on the fork. Somebody gonna go right and somebody gonna go left. Go ahead.
And the contention was so sharp between them.
Contention. The contention was so sharp. That means that this has been bothering this man for some time. Something simple as, hey man, he didn't come the last time we went in this direction to go do work. This man didn't show up. And people might say, man, you mad because I didn't show up on the job site? Bro, there's work to be done. Where were you at when the work was being done? Go ahead.
That they departed asunder, one from the other. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus. And Saul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of Elohim. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, confirming the churches.
Now let's get an understanding of the whole relationship between Saul and Barnabas. Let's go to Acts chapter 4. Acts chapter 4, and we're going to pick up at verse 33, and we're going to read through chapter 5 and verse 8. Acts chapter 4 and verse 33.
And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Adonai Yeshua, and great grace was upon them all. Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold, and laid them down at the apostles' feet. The distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. And Joseph, who by the apostles was surnamed Barnabas, which is, being interpreted, the son of consolation, and a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it, and brought the money, and laid it at the apostles' feet. But a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession, and kept back part of the price, his wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part, and laid it at the apostles' feet.
So you see what kind of person Barnabas is. Barnabas put in all when it came to the walk. That's the beginning characteristics of Barnabas. Go ahead.
But Cephas said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Spirit, and to keep back part of the price of the land? While it remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto Elohim.
So if you look at it, there's another fork in the road. Barnabas chose to be straight up about all his stuff. Here you got Ananias and Sapphira. They deviating on their fork and going down. They done got the price of the property. Now they want to keep back some of it. Decisions being made on the journey to salvation. Go ahead.
And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out, and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Cephas answered unto her, Tell me whether ye sold the land for so much. And she said, Yes, for so much.
Another opportunity. Fork in the road. She decide that she gonna go down the way that her husband went. Decisions being made. You see what Barnabas did? Barnabas did the same thing. He sold all that he had, but he gave up the sum of all that he made from what he had. These other two decided, hey, we're going to sell it, but then all of a sudden, we want to keep a portion of it. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. Like I say, hey, man, you haven't lied on to men. You've lied on to Elohim. Which is the greater transgression? Acts chapter 9, we're going to begin at verse 26.
And when Saul was come to Jerusalem, he essayed to join himself to the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, and believed not that he was a disciple.
So, on the backstory of Saul, Saul was out there putting in prison everybody that was believing and calling upon the name of Yeshua. He was persecuting everybody that called upon that name and believed on that name, and he had license to do so. Now, he met a fork in the road, and he's changed his life. But the people who know him can't accept the change. All they remember is the old man. But if somebody don't give you a chance, then you stand alone. Go ahead.
But Barnabas took him.
Barnabas. The same Barnabas who we heard they split. See, the first man took him in? Barnabas. But they had a contention so much that eventually it caused them two to split after the first man brought him in. Sometimes we get the feeling that, well, this is the man that brought me to the word. I'm obligated to him. Okay, believe that if you want to. I don't care if it's mama, daddy, brother, sister, uncle. When that fork comes, you better figure out which is the right way to go. Go ahead.
and brought him to the apostles, and declared unto them how he had seen the Adonai in the way, and that he had spoken to him, and how he had preached boldly in Damascus in the name of Yahshua. And he was with them, coming and going out of Jerusalem. And he spake boldly in the name of the Adonai Yahshua, and disputed against the Grecians. But they went about to slay him. Which when the brethren knew, they brought him down to Caesarea, and sent him forth to Tarshish. Then had the churches rest throughout all Judea and Galilee and Samaria, and were edified, and walking in the fear of the Adonai, and in the comfort of the Holy Spirit were multiplied.
All right, let's go to Acts chapter 11. So we see the first man to stand up by Saul's side is Barnabas. Not only just stand by his side, vouch for him to say, hey, this man has changed his life. Acts chapter 11, and let's start at verse 19.
Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word, that none but unto the Yehudi only. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Syria, and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Adonai Yahshua. And the hand of the Adonai was with them, and a great number believed, and turned unto the Adonai. Then tiding, and these things came unto the ears of the church, which was in Jerusalem, and they sent forth Barnabas, that he should go as far as Antioch, who, when he came and had seen the grace of Elohim, was glad, and exhorted them all, that with purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Adonai. For he was a good man, and full of the Holy Spirit, and of faith, and much people was added unto the Adonai. Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church, and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch.
So Saul and Barnabas, we can see a whole year that they spent working together, doing the job. A bond is built. But then we see later on what happens. One man didn't come to do the work. And the man said, nah, man, I don't think he should go with us. Go ahead.
And in these days came prophets from Jerusalem unto Antioch, and there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be a great dearth throughout all the world, which came to pass in the days of Claudius Caesar. Then the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which dwelt in Judea, which also they did, and sent it to the elders by the hand of Barnabas and Saul.
Barnabas and Saul. There's a bond. These brothers are going. But something as simple as work, somebody's work ethics, created a fork in the road and separated these two brothers. Let's go to Acts chapter 14. We often say this is a works-based congregation. And people don't understand that. You look around and you see people who are just seat dwellers don't last long. Eventually that fork in the road comes. And when it comes, a lot of people feel some kind of way. They say idle hands is a devil workshop. So if you ain't working, then you what? You idle. What Pharaoh said, you are idle, you are idle. Acts chapter 14, and start at verse 8 for me, please.
And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a crippled from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Saul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on thy feet. And he leapt and walked. And when the people saw what Saul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Laconia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. And they called Barnabas Jupiter and Saul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker.
So Barnabas and Saul is the dynamic duo. Constantly hearing Barnabas and Saul, Barnabas and Saul. The dynamic duo. But look at what split the dynamic duo. Somebody's work ethics, not their own work ethics. Somebody else's work ethics. Create a fork in the road for the dynamic duo. Go ahead.
Then the priests of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people, which when the apostles, Barnabas and Saul, heard of, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out, and saying, Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that you should turn from these vanities unto the living Elohim, which made heaven and earth and the sea, and all things that are therein, who in times past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he left not himself without witness, in that he did good, and gave us rain from heaven, and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. And with these sayings, scarce restrained they the people, that they had not done sacrifice unto them.
All right, let's go to Acts chapter 12. Actually, let's just go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 14 through 23. 1 Samuel chapter 16. Acts chapter 12 and 25 says, And Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem when they had fulfilled their ministry, and took with them Johanan, whose surname was Mark. So this is when Mark comes into the picture. They picked them up along while they were doing their ministry and brought him along with them. But his work ethics was not the same. Somebody had a problem with his work ethics. 1 Samuel chapter 16. We would think that's strange that something as simple as being on a job or not coming to the job could create a division between the dynamic duo. But everybody's work ethics is not the same. Everybody's heart is not the same in the same place when it comes to the job. And everybody ain't gonna put forth the same effort. Because it might not mean the same to somebody else as what it means to you, or vice versa. But you can't let somebody else deter you and let them cause you to diminish your works. Every man gonna be judged according to his work ethics. Yahweh knows what we're all capable of. Go ahead.
Verse 14, right? All right. But the Spirit of Yahweh.
Yes, verse 14.
Right. But the Spirit of Yahweh departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Yahweh troubled him. And Saul's servants said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from Elohim troubleth thee. Let our master now command thy servants, which are before thee, to seek out a man who is a cunning player of an harp.
On an harp.
On an harp, And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants, and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Yesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Yahweh is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Yesse, and said, Send me Dawid thy son, which is with the sheep. And Yesse took an ass, laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and became his armor bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand, and Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him.
And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray you, stand before me, for he has found favor in my sight. All right, let's see how far that goes before they reach a fork in the road. Let's go to chapter 18 and start that at verse 6, please.
And it came to pass, as it came when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul. With tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom?
Now at this point, there's a fork in the road. David knows nothing about the fork, but Saul knows about the fork. Sometimes when it comes to the fork in the road, somebody gets there first. And if you too far behind, you don't see the direction that they took. At this point, David is way behind and does not see what is coming. Yeah, he might know about the evil spirit and playing with that, but he doesn't see what else is coming towards him now. Because what? Saul has reached the fork in the road and already made a decision way before David could ever get there. Go ahead.
And Saul eyed David from that day and forward, and it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Elohim came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hand as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand, and Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Saul was afraid of David because Yahweh was with him, and was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from him, and made him a captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people.
So we see the evil man who has evil intentions remove the man he got problems with away from him. But yet we got problems when we see the evil man doing stuff to us to remove them from us. How is it the evil man got enough sense to move the person away from him, but we don't want to move the evil people away from us? Accept the fork when the fork comes. Go ahead.
And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and Yahweh was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judea loved David, because he went out and came in before them.
Now, verse 14 and 15, I got to say for most of us in this room is very hard. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and Yahweh was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. Hey man, when people acting a fool, it's hard for us to behave ourselves wisely. Let's accept it. But we got to work on it. Because other people are watching. I'm guilty. You act a plumb fool, hey, I might come off the top rope. But wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Decisions are being made, forks in the road. Brother realized tonight a fork in the road was created for him. Hey, bro, your face is out there. You're going to have to make some decisions. That's what Elder Priest said. That Elder Jacob told him, hey, man, I'm going to make you have to make some decisions. Your face is out there in front of these people. You don't see these people, but them people see you. You out in public and somebody looking at you and, you get that, I thought he said, I seen him on that Hebrew Israelite thing. Yeah, he was just dancing and singing and, yeah, but look at him now. Look at him now. Yeah, we're going to make you make some decisions. The fork in the road. Welcome. Go ahead.
Where are we at? 1 Samuel chapter 19? Or are we?
Did you finish verse 16?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 19. And start that with verse 1 and 2 for me, please.
And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill Dawid. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in Dawid. And Jonathan told Dawid, saying, Saul my father seeketh to kill thee. Now therefore I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place, and hide thyself.
So, Jonathan, Saul's son, is now understanding that there's a division, there's a fork in the road. He wasn't privy to it. Now his father is letting him know that I have a problem with Dawid. He's cool with Dawid. He goes and tells Dawid, hey man, your life is in jeopardy. My father is seeking to kill you. Let's jump down to verse 7.
And Jonathan called Dawid, and Dawid showed him all those things. And Jonathan brought Dawid to Saul, and he was in his presence, as in times past. And there was a war again, and Dawid went out and fought with the Philistines, and slew them with a great slaughter. And they fled from him. And the evil spirit from Yahweh was upon Saul, as he sat in his house, with his javelin in his hand. And Dawid played with his hand. And Saul sought to smite Dawid, even to the wall with the javelin. But he slipped away out of Saul's presence. And he smote the javelin into the wall. And Dawid fled and escaped that night.
So here we go. Saul will keep trying to kill this man. Saul made that fork, made that turn a long time ago. Something as simple as what was being sang from the women. Now we come, Saul has now made his son privy to that turn that he's made concerning how he feels about Dawid. The same Dawid whose father he told him, hey, he's found favor in my eyes, let him stay with me. Took him away from his family. I want him to stay here. He gonna live with me. He's found favor in my eyes. The favor ain't there no more. But can we understand and accept when the favor is not there anymore? And deal with it. Jonathan was just told by his father, I want Dawid dead. All right, let's go to verse 20. Chapter 20, and read verse 1 through 3 for me.
And Dawid fled from Noeth and Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is mine iniquity? And what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, Elohim forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so.
Is he delusional? What changed his mind? Back in chapter 19, and Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill Dawid. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in Dawid, and Jonathan told Dawid, saying, Saul my father seeks to kill you. Now therefore I pray you, take heed to yourself until the morning, and abide in a secret place, and hide yourself. Chapter 20. The man said, what have I done? What is my lawlessness? And what is my sin before your father, that he seeks my life? And he said unto him, Elohim forbid, you shall not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. Bro, the man already told you. Is it that you can't accept the fork in the road? That's where we go. A decision is made. Somebody is told to leave. The rest of us looking at him, you done told him to leave. What happened in Jonathan's thought process? Your father told you out of his own mouth, kill this man. You told the man. Now you telling the man, oh man, he wouldn't let this happen without telling me. Hey man, we gotta accept when that turn comes and that change is made. Accept it for what it is. And keep moving. Jump down to verse 25 for me, please.
And the king sat upon his seat, as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought, something hath befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean.
So just to understand, this conversation or this situation is happening at new moon. What are we observing right now? New moon. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today? And Jonathan answered, Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for my family hath a sacrifice in the city. And my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan. And he said unto him, Thou, son of a perverse rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. And Jonathan answered Saul his father, and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast the javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David.
So guess what? I can't get him, I'm gonna get you. That man was so angry at his son. He said, you son of a perverse woman. All because he wants somebody else. And that's where we also have to be careful with our ties and our affiliations. But we got to be honest. When you put yourself in danger to say, I'm going to stand for this word, I'm going to stand for righteousness, eventually your life going to be in danger too. He knows this man has no cause to want to kill David. But he admits there is some confusion. Because at one point you told the man, hey, my dad gonna kill you. And the next thing you turn around and told him, hey man, he ain't gonna do nothing to you without telling me. So there's some loyalties, as we talked about in class yesterday, that's got Jonathan a bit confused. Because he's got loyalty to David. Then he also got loyalty to his father. But which one are you gonna stand on? We all got to look at what's the side of righteousness. Stand on the side of righteousness. That's your best bet. Let's go to Genesis chapter 13. Now, we all come here for the word, because we're trying to straighten up our lives and get our lives together. So, we can one day be in the kingdom, but we also have to look at affiliations and things when we come through the door. I watch people that you hardly ever see them. Boy, they seem to pop up when a new person is in the room and latch on to the new person. We want to congregate. We want to be around like-minded people. But we need to take time to figure out, who is this person? Don't just jump to everybody who offer their phone number or want to get your phone number. What do they do? Who are you? How often do you come? The first time they show up, or the first time you show up and they want your number. Why? Who are you? You want to figure out who to congregate with and who to talk to? Look around the room and say, you know, I've never seen that face before. Okay, I've seen that face on Bible study before. I've seen that face in the choir. I've seen that face reading. You know, when I came in the door, I saw that brother in a security outfit, that one. That sister greeted me. Who the hell are you? What you do? Oh, okay. Maybe after I see you a few more Shabbats, then maybe we can exchange numbers. Or better yet, let me go talk to one of these people that I'm familiar with seeing and find out, who the hell are you? Before I let you start bending and chewing my ear. Hey man, we've had many people call and they want to talk to somebody, and I'll reach out, and then I realize vexation of spirit. Because they really didn't want to congregate. They thought they had an ear that they could teach and pass their agenda on to. And it ended up being the wrong thing. I'm the wrong person. I'm just warning. Everybody in the room ain't for the same purpose. Just like we seen with Saul and Barnabas. One was upset because the man said, no, man, this man ain't stick with the job. We kept going, he didn't go. And obviously somebody knew why he didn't go and didn't appreciate the fact that he didn't go on the job. Do your due diligence before you just start handing out numbers. We had people here that every time there's a baptism, they videoing. And they use that as the excuse. Oh, you know, we took some videos. You go ahead and give us your contact information and we'll get the video out to you. And when we went back around and asked these people, none of them people ever got any video. But somewhere they got a database of phone numbers. So what is your agenda? What were you trying to do with all these numbers? If you get caught up in it and they turn out to be a snake in the grass, you might think it unfair when you get kicked out the door right with them. Because eventually we come to the fork in the road. And after class, I might be in trouble. I'm sorry, Elder. But, hey man, it is what it is. We're getting closer to the redemption of the children of Israel. But we can't keep taking the same amount of time with giving people chances. The funny thing about the fork in the road is you can't see where it's going. The fork in the road, once it curves, one could make a hard left and one could make a hard right. Or that fork can actually go up and at some point follow on parallel levels and connect back. But are you willing to take the chance that it's going to connect back? That's why it's best to keep up. So that when the elder priest make that turn, you right there say, hey, I saw which way he went. I'm not always there. There's times when he say, yeah, Kish, I was already there. I was just waiting for you to catch up. But now that you're here, let's go ahead and handle this business. But even me, I can't keep lagging behind. There has to come a point where he come in and say, yeah, I already told him to hit the door. Huh, what? Yeah. I told him to hit the door already, goddammit. You ain't got to worry about it. I took care of it. Now, in all fairness, we got a brother sitting in the room. The brother said to me, Kish, how you go about putting people out of here? I said, brother, I don't put people out of here. People put themselves out of here. But the opportunities are not going to keep lingering and lingering and lingering and lingering and lingering. Because as it has been told to me and taught to me, what other sheep are suffering while we allow individuals to linger around? All you people are smart enough to look around and see who only show up on holy days. You got people who don't even call, they just show up. Do they live out of town? No, they don't. So then you got to look at your work ethics compared to theirs. How much you're willing to put in to be here, to fellowship, to learn, to grow, compared to the Sabbath Hebrew. And then some of them ain't Sabbath day Hebrews. Some of them is Holy Day Charles and Holy Day Charlene. Pay attention. That way you can go ahead and make your curve while they go ahead and make their curve. Where are you at, brother?
Genesis chapter 13.
Okay.
And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and Perizzites dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren.
So Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray you, between me and you. Was the strife between them two? The strife was not between them. It was between their herdmen. But this strife created a fork in the road. At this point, Abraham said, hey, bro, a decision has to be made. The strife was not between them two. Let this also be a lesson how we can allow other people to cause a fork in the road and create a division. Go ahead.
Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
And sometimes it is necessary for us to say this to people. Man, separate yourself from me. You go one direction, I'll go the other direction. I've had to make them hard decisions. Sometimes we want to bring friends along, and sometimes we're not even bringing them along in the word. We just like to still be able to have the foolishness to drop into the foolishness every now and again. Hey man, I had to make some decisions. Hey, bro, you're not welcome to my house anymore. If I see you out in the street, what's up? If you want to, what's up? That's fine with me. And if you don't, it's fine with me too. I've had other people call me, hey man, so-and-so wants your phone number. For what? Let me see, the last time I spoke to them was 20 odd years ago. And I've been doing some research and I see that prison is a revolving door. What do they want to talk to me for? Then I have to look at where I'm at, and I look at my circle, and I have to ask the question, what would it benefit me for them to be in my circle? Nah, I'm good. Oh, I'll tell them I don't have your number. No, bro, you don't have to lie. Don't tell them that you don't have my number. Tell them that I said that I don't want to associate. I'm good. See, some of us want to reminisce, man. Well, reminisce on what? I'm past all that. What are we going to talk about? Middle school and high school? Because after that, we ain't having, bro, you been in and out of jail. I don't want to hear about your jail history. We have nothing in common. You might pique my interest if you said, I found out about Yahweh in prison. I think Lucifer trying to catch me. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zorah. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. And Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom.
All right, my brother, let's go ahead and go back to Genesis chapter 12. So that's Lot and Abram. Lot is Abram's nephew. Abram brought Lot along on a journey that Yahweh put him on. How many of us are bringing baggage on this journey? Look at the baggage. And look at when strife is being caused. Well, we got somebody said, I'm here for him. Okay, so you can get the hell on. Because obviously you're not here for the right reason. You're not even here for your own salvation. I'm here to support them. What somebody else told us, I'm here to make sure you stay honest. And who the hell are you? What the hell you know about the word? Obviously, if you don't know nothing about the word, then you have nothing to gauge me by to keep me honest. Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 5. If y'all don't see me after class because I done said too much and got in trouble, all right?
Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
So Yahweh said, get you out of your father's house and away from your kindred. Who did he take with him? Lot. Ain't that your kin, folks? Ain't that your kindred? See how we half listen? But even you go before this, Yahweh did him a solid. Yahweh waited till his father was dead to lessen that fork in the road decision. Go ahead.
And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed, as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah, his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came.
And Lot went with him, his brother's son. Yahweh said, get you away from your kindred, but Lot went with him. Let's go to Ruth chapter 1. Ruth chapter 1, and let's read verse 8 through 18.
And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go, return, each to her mother's house, and Yahweh deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. And Yahweh grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. And then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept.
This is the fork in the road. We're about to separate and go our different ways. Go ahead.
They said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have an husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have an husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes, that the hand of Yahweh is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice, and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people, and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law.
So in the beginning, and they said unto her, Surely we'll return with you unto your people. And as she started putting it out there, the fleshly deeds and the carnal stuff, one of them said, you know what, yeah, let me get the hell on back, you know what I'm saying, because I'm still young and you know what I'm saying, I can find me another husband. Ruth didn't know what the outcome was going to be. That fork in the road, Ruth said, nah. When she said they clave onto her, that means you ain't getting out my sight. The other one got the heck on. But that's also what we got to look at. They said the second state of that man when them spirits come back is worse than the first. Watch people. Watch people when we reach that fork in the road and they depart and they gone somewhere else. They might not show it to you that they don't went back to their gods. Sit around long enough. Catch them off guard and you realize that they don't went back to their gods. Go ahead.
And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whether thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy Elohim my Elohim. Where thou diest, I will die, and there will I be buried. Yahweh do so to me, and more also, if aught be death, part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her.
All right, she made a decision. You're not getting out of my eyesight, and the curve in the road is not going to cause you to lose me. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 19. Some of us, we let people get off in our ears, and before we know it, we're off into foolishness, not realizing you stick close enough to this word so that when that deviation comes, you're not left out there trying to make a decision on, oh, well, which way did they turn? Which way did the congregation go? Well, maybe if I go down here, eventually I'll meet up with them. And maybe you may not. But if you stick close enough behind, you should be so close that if somebody stops, look, what the hell? You just bumped into me. Yeah. Back in my clubbing days, I learned one thing. If I didn't drive, keep your eyes on the person with the keys. At least you get left at the club, trying to figure out how the hell you getting home. Keep your eyes on the, hey, they turn left, I turn left. They turn right up. Hey, hey, you got the keys, bro. You got the keys. You come on, man. You go to the club and somebody might tick somebody off, and next thing they just up and left you. Bro, but you know we came together. Well, you should have stuck with me. I ain't walking around here looking for you. They're saying with the salvation. Stick to the man that's got the keys. Keep your eye on the person with the keys. At least they deviate and you didn't see which way they turned. Now you lost trying to figure it out. Uber ain't gonna get you there. Go ahead. 1 Kings chapter 19, we're going to read verses 19 through 21.
So he departed thence, and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12th, and Eliah passed by him, and cast him his mantle upon him. And he left the oxen, and ran after Eliah, and said, Let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will go follow thee. And he said unto him, Go back again, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back from him, and took a yoke of oxen, and slew them, and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen, and gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose and went after Eliah, and ministered unto him.
So this is the first encounter with Elisha and Eliah. Even though he went back to do his business, he stuck to what he said. He went and found him. Why? He realized this man's got the keys. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2 and start that at verse 1 for me. He told him to go back. He went back that one time and took care of that business.
And it came to pass, when Yahweh would take up Eliah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Eliah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Eliah said unto Elisha, Tarry he, I pray thee, for Yahweh hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel.
So he keep trying to get him to stay behind. The first meeting he met, he said, Hey man, allow me to go back home and take care of this business. He said, Hey man, go on. What I got to do with you? They took care of his business and went back. Now the man's trying to create that fork in the road. Hey man, you stay over here, I'll be back. And I said, No, I'm not leaving your side. Go ahead.
And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou, Yahweh will take away thy master from thy head today? Today? And he said, Yes, I know it. Hold ye your peace.
Yeah, I know it. But y'all ain't going to persuade me not to follow him. Leave me the hell alone. Stop talking to me. Go ahead.
And Elias said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for Yahweh hath sent me to Jericho. And he said, As Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho.
This man keep trying to shake this man. Keep trying to shake him off. Go ahead.
And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou that Yahweh will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, Yes, I know it. And hold ye your peace.
So he got the man he following trying to shake him off, and then he got the prophets keep saying, Man, don't you know Yahweh gonna take this man today? Yeah, I know it. Hold your peace. Leave me the hell alone. I'm glad y'all know it. I know it too. So he got two things coming at him, trying to create that fork in the road. Man, I said, Nah, bro, I'm holding on like a pit bull. I'm not letting go. I know who got the keys. Go ahead.
And Elias said unto him, Tarry, I pray thee, here, For Yahweh hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, As Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on.
So you imagine you got somebody keep following you, keep trying to tell, man, stay here. Nah, bro. I'm not sticking around. Nah, you ain't leaving me behind. Bro, stay here. Nah, bro, I'm coming wherever you going, bro. Bro, stay here. At some point, somebody should get frustrated. Man, why you keep trying to get rid of me? Or bro, why don't you just stay? Man, I keep saying, nah, man, I'm coming. Go ahead.
And 50 men of the son of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they too stood by Jordan. And Eliah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that they too went over on dry ground. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elias said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Eliah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes, and rent them in two pieces. He took up also the mantle of Eliah, that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Eliah, that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said, Where is Yahweh Elohim of Eliah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over.
So he asked them for a double portion, right? Verse 11 says, And it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Eliah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. But we can read back in verse 8, And Eliah took his mantle and wrapped it together, and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that the two went over on dry ground. You go back down to verse 14, And he took the mantle of Eliah that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said, Where's Yahweh Elohim of Eliah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. That man knew who had the keys and what he wanted. And he was not going to let him get far enough that he didn't see where he went when the fork in the road was created. Everybody kept trying to create it, but he wouldn't let it happen. So did he get what he asked for? We turn around and see he did the same thing that this man did. Like all the journeys that he was going on works. This man said, nah, you're not leaving me behind on the works. The people kept saying, don't you know Yahweh going to take him to, yeah, but like, as long as he working, I'm right there with him working. And when he's gone, I'm going to continue the works too. Go ahead.
And when the sons of the prophets, which were to view at Jericho, saw him, they said, The spirit of Eliah doth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him, and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
All right, my brother. Some of us are so damn opinionated that nobody can talk to us. We have to dominate the conversation. Then after a while, people start removing themselves from the conversation. And we stand thinking, I got my point across. No, what you did was make them realize, you know what? I don't care what they name themselves. I'm in the presence of Nabal. Let me get the hell on. Then there's those of us that are so open that everybody that passed by us can have our ear. So that by the time leadership gets around to addressing a problem that we may have, we're looking at them crazy, like they don't know what they're talking about. Let's be careful of how we hear what we hear, and let's also watch out for the fork in the road. That's all we're going to do for this evening. Shalom.
Shalom.